I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. Hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
How do I wrap it up? How do I wrap it up? The song keeps going.
This
You're watching
is
Sports Zone. What's good?
On away goals, and those are the key when it comes to Champions League matches. But I really think they kind of got a little shell-shocked going into Germany and losing to Wolfsburg. But I think it should be an interesting game in the Bernabeu this week. Will Real Madrid rebound? I don't know. It's up to whether Zinedine Zidane can get him rattled up to actually play this game. They look kind of flat and uninspired when they played in Germany, but it'll be interesting to see how they do coming back home.
Definitely. In Germany, Wolfsburg basically played a perfect game. They hit the formula if you're an underdog and you want to win. They got lucky with some calls. They got a pretty dubious penalty. They took their chances well when they did get the ball, because they didn't get a lot of the ball, and they packed in the box and just defended well against Real Madrid and didn't really give them any space. So it was a masterclass on how to take down a big favorite. So that'll be interesting to see. Those are the games that'll be played on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have a big game between the top two teams in La Liga right now. Barcelona won at the Camp Nou 2-1 against Atletico Madrid, but Atletico Madrid has that away goal, and they have a bit of chip on their shoulder because the way the game ended was a little bit controversial, or with the way they went down to 10 men. So Jessica, do you see one of those sides having an advantage going into Wednesday's match?
I think that it'll be very evenly played. I can see Atletico actually coming back and maybe even winning. But I would not be surprised if Barcelona ended up taking the spot to the semifinal.
Definitely. It was a crazy match. Fernando Torres scored, then proceeded to get 2 yellow cards in the space of 8 minutes, got sent off. Barcelona came back. So Atletico has that away goal, but Barcelona really, they don't let people score that often. So like you said, it might be even, and it should be definitely a very interesting match, and probably the match of the week. The last match in the Champions League, Bayern Munich played Benfica in a match that was much closer than anyone expected. They only won 1-0 on the merit of Arturo Vidal's goal in the second minute, but Benfica probably will feel hard done because they had the better chances. So Ryan, going back to Portugal, which is a notoriously very difficult place to play, do you think Bayern's in any trouble?
I don't think so. I think just on the fact that Bayern has had very dominant second legs in the Champions League, and I think over the past couple of years under Pep Guardiola, they've proven that they are very dominant when it comes to the second leg. Yes, was the game a lot closer in the Allianz Arena? Absolutely. Nobody was expecting it to be 1-0. But somehow Pep Guardiola always manages to get Bayern Munich up for a second leg of a Champions League. They've come back in them from being down 2 goals, being down 1 goal. I think they'll be ready to go in Portugal, and I think probably maybe a 2-0 game for Bayern, but I see Bayern moving on to the semifinals.
Definitely. It'll be exciting or interesting to see how those matches play out this week. But shifting gears from talking about the Champions League this year, we're going to talk about a team that qualified for the Champions League next year. Very quickly, Jessica, Leicester City, sitting top of the Premier League now with a 10-point cushion atop the league, clinched at least a 4th place spot. 5 games to go. I'll just ask you quite simply, are they going to win the title?
I think that Leicester City actually has a really good chance of winning the title. Their next couple games are pretty easy matchups, so I don't think they'll have a problem.
Definitely. Jamie Vardy's getting back in form, scored 2 goals against Sunderland at the weekend. They're playing that counterattacking where they don't pass the ball very often. They just punt it and use his pace. It looks to be a good formula for them, but that's all the time we have this week for Studio 90. Stay tuned on SportsZone for more hard-hitting analysis.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Zone. This is my favorite segment of the show, getting to third base, because baseball is back as always. I'm joined on this segment by Mike, Vince, and Ryan. We all represent 4 different teams, with the Mets, the Pirates, okay, and the evil empire themselves, the Yankees. Thanks, Ryan. So, obviously, we've just wrapped up week 1 of the 2016 baseball season, and it really was a week that did not disappoint. I think we saw a whole lot of stuff that we didn't expect to see already, whether it was a pitcher getting the first RBI of the season, a catcher having the first triple, or a team having 3 straight shutouts to start a season, first time since, I believe, 1963, and the Cardinals doing that. So let's first throw it over to Mike. Just from this week alone, biggest storyline.
I think it's Trevor's story. Apropos enough, he's the biggest storyline. 7 home runs in his first week as a Major League Baseball player. Granted, okay, he played in Colorado, but still, that's still a tremendous accomplishment. And just, I don't know, obviously sort of top of everybody's Rookie of the Year ballot so far. Just really a player to watch and just kind of an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, this is turning out, I know it's only been 1 week, but a lot of teams are banking on their young rookies, whether it's rebuilding teams like the Rockies, the Phillies. To an extent, there are other teams that were on the cusp of the playoffs or made it to the playoffs that still don't consider themselves there, like the Rangers, bringing up Nomar, I can't remember his last name, who hit a home run yesterday in his first game. Vince, another big storyline for you.
Well, I think it's got to be the injury to Kyle Schwarber with the Cubs. It hasn't set them back really yet, and the Cubs are saying it's not really going to affect them at all. They're still, they're 5-1 through the first week. They kind of think that his production won't affect them that much, but I think it's a big story now, but we'll see how much it affects the Cubs down the line. They'll probably be able to compensate a little bit now, but maybe when the runs start getting a little bit dry, we'll look back at this Kyle Schwarber injury in the first week of the season and thinking maybe what if for the Cubs.
Yeah, Schwarber was huge for that team last year towards the second half and even in the postseason. Actually, Wrigley Field, they officially have that ball that he hit that landed on the scoreboard hanging up there. It's just in a case on top of the scoreboard. So he's going to be missed, definitely that production there. Ryan?
I also got to stick with Kyle Schwarber. I think that was a huge loss for the Cubs. And like Vince said, it could be costly as they make that push down August and September when the Cubs are starting to jockey for playoff position and Kyle Schwarber's not in the lineup. It could be very interesting to see. Granted, I still think they've kind of rounded out and solidified their pitching staff. I still think they have quite a bit of offense. I think Anthony Rizzo is going to really kind of have to be the catalyst that sparks that offense. But I think Kyle Schwarber is a huge loss for the Cubs this early in the season.
Yeah, still being a very complete team. Shouldn't hold him that too far. I kind of think that obviously he was drafted, I think, as a catcher. Why was he playing outfield? Who knows? For me, I'd probably have to go with what I mentioned to start off this segment. The Los Angeles Dodgers started off the season with 3 straight shutouts. First time that's been done since the 60s when Bob Gibson was heading up that rotation in St. Louis. Definitely something I could say I didn't expect. Yes, they were playing the Padres, but I did not plan to see 3 straight shutouts there. The biggest story out of that, though, was in Game 2, Kenta Maeda, a prized Japanese pitcher that the Dodgers got this past offseason. He actually hit a home run before he's even let up a run in the major leagues. So I would say find me another time when that happened. I think it's safe to say that for a pitcher that's never happened before. And it's also really interesting to see because you see like these leagues in Korea, in Japan, they seem to be kind of easier to play in. I mean, you look at there's some major league players that have gone over there, William Opeña, to name just one, who goes over and just starts crushing them. And so they say when these players come up to the major leagues, what can you expect? Will they be as effective? Mm-hmm. But yeah, this team, the Dodgers team, has definitely not disappointed, though I think it's still very early, obviously. We've talked so far about some very complete teams. One team that I actually want to touch upon is the last of the unbeatens. And I know it's kind of foolish to say that because it's baseball and we've played a lot of games so far. But the Baltimore Orioles guys are 5-0. They're not obviously our hometown team with the Nationals being here, but Baltimore real close, a team that I think we all know a lot about as it is. They had a very rough spring training. Actually, I think they started off going 0-10-2. So, Ryan, where's this Baltimore surge coming from? Do you really think it could be from all these offseason signings bringing in the pop?
I think it could be a number of things. It could be the offseason. It could be Buck Showalter, again, finding stroke of magic wherever he seems to touch baseball. But you really can't find a place in particular to attribute this to. It's kind of out of nowhere. It's very similar to the whole Billy Beane thing with the A's and how they kind of just came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But you really can't attribute to it. But whatever they're doing, whatever's going on in Camden Yards is working. And then they should ride this wave out as long as they possibly can. Obviously, it's a long season. Nobody's going to go 162-0.
The Phillies were going to go.
The Phillies were going to go 162.
They're going to go 158-4. Let me just
Hey,
tell you that.
But
Okay.
I think we're losing right
there's
now.
still
though.
plenty. There's still plenty of games to be played. I don't think they're going to go 162-0. But whatever's working, I can't really know, or I don't really know of what really can be attributed to such great success.
It's the team that's still having success right now to start off the season has been the Kansas City Royals, the reigning World Series champs. Do you expect more of the same from them going to this year? I know that a lot of people have seen them as maybe still being the AL representative in the World Series. And again, it's week 1. Why are we talking about this? I feel like it's still a relevant thing, though, to talk about. They didn't make many changes in the offseason. What do you see there?
Well, I feel like they didn't need to make many relevant changes. They've got a formula that's very simple and it's very easy to maintain. They don't have a lot of pop in their lineup that we look at when we see the Orioles. They hit a lot of singles. They run the bases well. They've got strong enough pitching to get them to their bullpen, which is their stalwart. It's a sustainable formula, and barring any injuries, I don't really see them having any less success than they've had in the past. They've kind of built themselves now where they potentially could be a 1, 2, 3, a long-term team that's there in the AL to contend with.
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to ask about your team. I'm going to also throw some
Okay.
shade at you.
All right.
You know, the Mets, obviously the reigning NL champs, played the Phils for their opening series, dropped 2 out of 3 games. That's why Kristen's actually not out here talking. She
Okay.
would not have any nice words, I feel. But, you know, coming into this, the Mets have only scored 1 run, I believe, in 4 of their games. They're losing DeGrom for at least his next start. Who knows? Maybe he might miss another one if his wife ends up going through labor. And Matt Harvey's been shaky to start off his first 2 starts. Are the Mets a slow team to build momentum, or I don't want to be insulting here, but is it really, was last year kind of a little bit of a fluke?
I think it's a little bit of a restructured lineup. I mean, you have players like Neil Walker, like Asdrubal Cabrera, who are just being reintroduced into the Mets team. I think that's got a little bit to do with it. I think there's going to be a very streaky team all the way through. I think you look at who's probably their most powerful hitter is probably Yoenis Cespedes, and he is a definition of a streaky hitter.
Streaky fielder too.
Yeah, streaky fielder as well. So I just think it's going to be a lot of start and stop with this team. One encouraging thing I do see, though, is that their bullpen, it's been pretty good. That was probably the biggest question mark coming into the season. Jim Henderson, kind of an under-the-radar pickup. He's pitched very well.
Great.
Jarius Familia is always reliable, I should say.
He's always familiar.
But he's also always familiar by definition. And then starting pitching, I think that'll work itself out. Noah Syndergaard had a great game against the Royals. Bartolo Colon only gave up the home run, really. And then we still haven't seen Steven Matz pitch at all.
Zach Wheeler, same thing.
Zach Wheeler, same thing. And Jacob deGrom, I think, a little bit of the injury worry, but I'm glad they're playing cautious with him.
Yeah.
So I think, it's just going to be a very streaky team. Hopefully they find their groove soon.
Yep. So, well, anyway, that's all that we have so far for getting to third base for first week has wrapped up. Stay tuned, though. Next week coverage as well. And stay tuned for more Sports Zone coming at you.
Hello, welcome back to Sports Zone. This is Ice Time. I'm joined alongside with Michael. Rachel, once again, missing in action. We don't care. That means we can talk more Rangers hockey on this segment, as it should be. So we're going to break into playoff season because playoffs start April 13th. Yes, Deepak in the back is motioning because the Philadelphia Flyers have made the playoffs. They are sitting in the second wild card spot. They are going in to face a red-hot President's Trophy winning Washington Capitals team in the first round of the Metropolitan Division, and Pittsburgh will be hosting the New York Rangers. So let's kind of break down those matchups first. Michael, who do you see coming out? What do you see as the big storylines going through the Capitals, Flyers, and Pittsburgh and New York?
Well, with Capitals Flyers, Flyers have a chance to sort of disrupt the Capitals' run for the Cup. They were 2-2 against them in the regular season, and I just think they play a style of hockey that's going to match up pretty well with the Capitals. Obviously, Alexander Ovechkin is a prolific goal scorer, but he's also a guy who's never afraid to sort of lay down the big hit. But I think you see that a lot with the Flyers, too. You have guys like Wayne Simmons, like Jacob Voracek, who also aren't afraid to get physical but can also score in bunches. And I do think that the Capitals will come out on top, but I think it's probably going to be a 7-game series, and they're going to, get a little beat up in the process. As far as Rangers-Penguins goes, it all depends on the Penguins' goaltending situation. Last year in that series, where the Rangers were definitely a better team, Marc-Andre Fleury kept the Penguins in that and dragged it out to 5 games. But if he's not going to be able to play, and if Matt Miller, who was injured in their game over the weekend, isn't going to be able to play, I just would be very, very sad as a Rangers fan if they couldn't beat like the third-string Penguins goalie.
Well, you never know with certain situations like that. Braden Holtby was the third-string goalie for the Capitals when they played defending champion Boston Bruins, and at that time, now Braden Holtby is one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League. I also have to agree with you. Washington and Philadelphia is going to be a very interesting series. I think Shane Gostisbehere is playing some phenomenal hockey, and I think the Flyers' defensive core is kind of manifesting itself into one of the better defensive cores in the Eastern Conference, at least. And the Capitals have been kind of shaky, especially at home in the last couple of weeks. And you know for a fact, as you've seen with when they've played the Rangers the last 2 years, Alexander Ovechkin loves to go into hibernation during the playoffs. So it'll be very interesting to see whether or not that actually plays out. But they do have Mr. Playoffs himself in Justin Williams, so maybe that'll kind of reboot and rebalance the attack. But we will all tell in due time. Swinging to the Atlantic end of the Eastern Conference, you have the Florida Panthers playing the New York Islanders. 5 metropolitan teams have made the playoffs for the first time ever since the divisions have changed. So you have the Flyers and the Islanders and the Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning and Detroit Red Wings. Detroit, as many people know, this is their 25th straight year in the playoffs, and lots of controversy surrounding Detroit now because their main superstar, Pavel Datsyuk, said that he's pretty sure after this year he's going to leave his 3-year, $22.5 million contract and go back to Russia. Do you think this is weighing in on the Detroit Red Wings as they gear up for Tampa Bay?
I mean, I think it might be. I don't know what kind of effect it's going to have on them, right? It could be kind of depressing. It could be like, well, here we go. Next year we're not going to have our big superstar. Or maybe it's like, let's go, boys. This is our last chance to win a cup, our last year in the Joe. Let's go out and win one for Pavel. And they're going to have a chance against the Lightning, too. Tyler Johnson was not at practice today, and Steven Stamkos is still recovering from surgery. I think the Lightning are probably a better team overall. But I do think that, there are some openings here where the Red Wings will be able to take advantage.
I do agree. I think the Red Wings always have a knack for going to Game 7s. I don't know how they do it, but somehow they find a way. It's especially interesting because there's still Jonathan Drouin controversy that seemed to linger all this year for defending Eastern Conference champions John Cooper and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Swinging to the other end, you have the strange, kind of peculiar division champions in the Florida Panthers, the young, hot Florida Panthers, playing against a very hot New York Islanders team that is also dealing with goaltender issues of their own. Do you think that could affect the Islanders, even though they've been playing pretty well without Yaroslav Halak in the net?
I think it will. I just think when you're in these playoff situations and you're throwing out these young, inexperienced goaltenders, it's always hard to find a Braden Holtby. I mean, 2 years ago we saw with the Lightning when Ben Bishop was injured, and they had all these backups in there, and they got swept. They got blown out of the rink by the Canadians. And I think that people aren't giving the Panthers enough credit. They did win their division. Roberto Luongo is still a good goaltender. I know he's got this kind of sour reputation in some parts of Canada, but he's still a good goaltender. Jaromir Jagr is on that team. And I just think players like Aaron Ekblad, Jonathan Huberdeau, I just think they're young, hungry players that are ready to make a bit of a run. So I see them taking that series against the Islanders. Probably 6 or 7, but I still see them taking it.
I'd have to agree. I have them going in 7, beating the Islanders. I don't know what the deal is with the Islanders, but again, their stars also find a way to go into hibernation when it comes to playoff time. Just another couple quick points before we swing to the Western Conference. You have Henrik Lundqvist, who left practice twice on Monday or today, making sure Alain Vigneault said he is okay.
Yeah.
We don't know. He's probably not okay. Ryan McDonough is also going to be out for the start of the Penguins series. That could be very substantial in just this opening of the series because Ryan McDonough, as many people know, the captain, the anchor of the Rangers defensive corps. Swinging to the Central Division, you have the Dallas Stars, who are the kind of unprecedented number 1, playing the Nashville Predators. 5 teams in the Central Division have also made the playoffs. So you have the Dallas Stars taking on the Nashville Predators, St. Louis and Chicago, round 7 at this point. Does St. Louis, with now Game 7 going to be in St. Louis, take this series, and does Dallas roll Nashville?
I think Dallas does roll Nashville. I just think they're a better team. I know Tyler Sagan's going to be out, but I just still think there's too much talent there. And I just think the Predators, haven't really been sort of wire-to-wire good team. As far as Blackhawks Blues go, I mean, in my heart and heart of hearts, I want to say that this Game 7 in St. Louis, or the potential of a Game 7 in St. Louis will turn things. I just can't, though. There's just too much precedent of the Blackhawks being good. And the fact that they don't have Patrick Sharp anymore, Brendan Saad, these really good players who helped them carry to the cup a couple times, I mean, it's just still very hard for me to pick against the Blackhawks when they're playing the Blues. So I'm taking probably going to be 7 games. I'm still picking the Blackhawks.
I have to agree with you. I also have the Blackhawks in 7, and the St. Louis Blues now without TJ Oshie, as he's now in the nation's capital playing for Washington, hoping to deliver a cup for them. Swinging to the Pacific Division, you have the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Minnesota Wild, who Minnesota has seemingly always kind of snuck into the playoffs and caused some havoc, and Anaheim, who's been a very streaky playoff team at that. Then you have the Los Angeles Kings playing the San Jose Sharks. Who comes out of each series?
I actually can pick the Ducks against the Wild. I was ready to pick the Wild, but I feel like I like the way the Ducks have finished the season, finished it a little strong. And I think it's going to be a tough series, but I still like the Ducks in that series. And then Kings Sharks, I'm going to pick the Kings as well. Again, if Kings Sharks is just like sort of like the California version of Blues Blackhawks, where I really want to say that like maybe the Sharks were pulled out this time, and if they were playing the Ducks, I'd probably pick them. But again, it's kicking Sharks, and I'm going with the Kings again.
I'd have to agree with you. It's an even number year again, so that technically, if you look at history, the Kings are supposed to win the Stanley Cup this year. Whether that happens, I'm not entirely sure. Just to throw in one last quick point before we go, my college hockey bracket was busted completely. Thanks a lot, Quinnipiac Bobcats. They lost to the North Dakota Fighting Sioux 5-1 on Saturday. And after what was a great season for Rand Pecknold and his squad, Brendan Berry has done a great job replacing the now Flyers coach Dave Hackstall in North Dakota, and he has delivered them a national championship after North Dakota's kind of had some depressing endings to their last few seasons. But anyway, that's all the time we have for this edition of Ice Time. Next week we will cover more, as we will be very much into the playoff season. But it is playoff season for hockey. With Michael, I'm Ryan. More SportsZone coming to you after this.
Welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm Nate Gath, and this is our segment for Rapid Fire. I'm joined along with
Brian Joseph Hedall.
And Jake Elmsley.
So this weekend there was the Masters, and Jordan Spieth had a record-breaking meltdown. What do you think about his time at the links on the course?
Well, you never like to see somebody break down like that, Nate. But I'm confident that Jordan will come back next year and he'll really pick it up and go get that second-degree jacket.
Oh yeah. And Jake, what do you think about Danny Willett's big historic win at Augusta?
I feel bad for that man because nobody will remember it. This will be remembered as the Masters where Jordan Spieth fell apart entirely. So, good for him, but also tragic for him.
Yeah, it's a big loss for Jordan Spieth, and hopefully he can bounce back at the next major event. Next, we're going to talk about AU sports. The women lost again in a heartbreaker to Bucknell, but they have won in conference play. They won 2 weeks ago at District Day, which was really awesome and great to see the women. What do you think about that, Brian?
I just hope they can build on that. It's been a rough season. We all know that. But we're rooting for them. And, anything can happen when it comes to Pitcher League tournament play. So we'll see what happens.
Any thoughts on that, Jake?
Kind of a young team, they learn how to play together, but even if you lost, you can find a lot of positive things. You saw the basketball team, like you said, Patriot League is very unpredictable. At the beginning of the season, the basketball team looked like a lost cause and able to bring it together and almost win the whole league. So, you can always expect that sort of uprise from a team at any point in this league, at least. Yeah,
hopefully the ladies, we can see them return to winning ways. Last but not least, we're talking about the dynasty, the four-peat UConn women's basketball. Utter dominance in the tournament. What do you gentlemen think about that?
I mean, there's not really anything to say at this point. UConn is just saying their league's above their opposition isn't even fair at this point. I mean, they won every single game this year by double digits. It's really not fair at this point. By all means, I have no problem with them winning. A lot of people kind of get upset with them winning by the amount they do, but you play who you play. If they have the recruits, they can play the recruits and dominate, and good for them.
Jake's thoughts?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are these people who've been playing gonna do? Winning at the highest level, what are they gonna do? Say they gotta take lead to their shoes, play with an arm behind their back, they're a dynasty. so well coached, such a well recruited program. There's no reason to think it's going to go down at all in the next 5, 10 years even. I mean, we're witnessing one of the great dominant college teams of all time across any sport, men's or women's, and it's a fun thing to witness.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable. For myself, Jake, and Brian, this has been Rapid Fire. Stay tuned for more Sports Zone.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Zone. This is our NBA segment, Throwing It Up. I am Jalen Rose. I'm not wearing my jacket today. I didn't feel like it. But I am joined by Bill Walton, maybe, and Jake Elmsley. Not from State Farm. Anyway, NBA, the season wraps up more or less tonight with, and let's start with the biggest story here, the Golden State Warriors officially going for win number 73. Last night, they beat the San Antonio Spurs on their home court, on the Spurs home court, for the first time, I believe, since 1997, tying the Bulls record. So, Jake, just take me through that game last night and what we can expect going forward.
I mean, it's just what we've seen from the Spurs and Warriors all year. Just very great basketball being played. The Warriors able to prevail this week. They managed to tie that record. And honestly, I still am of the thinking that these games are more valuable for the Spurs at this point than they are for the Warriors. But, so the Warriors win this time, of course. But really, it's just another final preview. It really shows how closely contested these two teams will be if they wind up, and when they wind up playing the 7-game series. Seem to go back and forth basically every time they played.
Yeah. Mike, I mean, the Warriors throughout the entire year have chugged along for this record. Obviously, the record was in sight from, I guess, the point when they got to about 20 wins in a row. But first, I guess the first record was how long could they go undefeated? They eventually lost to the Bucks. But now that we're here at this point, you know, obviously the 1996 team, the Bulls team, has come out in different ways stating that they want the team to break the record, that they think the Bulls can still win. You know, I guess if we had to come up officially with that matchup, where do you see that going between the 96 Bulls and the 2016 Warriors?
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about because they're two like very different eras of the NBA, right? I mean, you have sort of like this quote unquote golden age of basketball with the Bulls and a much more physical game, whereas you have like the definition of a jump shooting team in the Warriors. I would have to go with the Bulls here. I just think they don't. I think there's no one the Warriors have who would have been able to match up with like a Dennis Rodman type rebounder. As great as sort of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson would be beyond the arc. I just think the Bulls, and I just think Michael Jordan's just the most competitive person in the world and probably would not allow them to lose. So yeah, that's how
interesting.
shake out.
Because Michael Jordan, he's saying, you better go ahead and you better break this record.
Yeah.
If you don't, I'm going to be mad about that. And they do have a legitimate shot to do that. Additionally, if Steph Curry is able to make 8 3-pointers this game, he reaches 400 for the season, which he's already broken his own records. But 400 is just another feat. Yes, the record's broken, but it's a nice even number right there. And so moving on from the Warriors, who do have that chance now to break the record tonight, I want to look at the team that has the worst record, the Philadelphia 76ers, my team. This past week, crazy week, firing Sam Hinkie and then hiring Brian Colangelo, who is the son of Jerry Colangelo, one of the front office officials. I believe he's up there in a more advisory role with the Sixers. Mike, the Sixers have been struggling the past 4 years. I believe since 2012, we have 46 wins, which is less than 6 teams in the NBA this year. Is this move the right move for the Sixers to make, or was the process working?
I think it is the right move because I don't think the process was working, or at least the way Sam Hinkie was executing the process was not working. I mean, look at the guys he's drafted and how they've kind of shaken out. Nerlens Noel's okay. Joe Okafor is very talented, but he's had a little bit of issues. And Joel Embiid has not dressed up as a Philadelphia 76er and taken the floor at all. And it's just, the idea of sort of accruing assets, of, avoiding these sort of mid-level free agents to try and sort of hit gold in the lottery, it seems like it makes sense. I'm sure in some universe it does work. But when you're drafting like 3 centers that can't play together, and you're just making sort of a lot of these like just decisions that just are not working at all. I think it was time to move on.
And Jake, the Sixers have obviously accumulated a bunch of first round picks coming up. The plan is obviously that they get the first round pick, the first overall pick this upcoming draft, but anything can obviously happen. If they do get that pick, and even if they don't, if they fall second, maybe third, who do you see them absolutely needing to target here?
Well, I mean, really, like I said, like at a point you have to stop accumulating assets. You need to start building a team. This is the strongest. I mean, if they have that first top 3 pick, I mean, obviously they're probably gonna. If they don't have the first pick, they're gonna try to grab who of Brandon Ingram or Ben Simmons falls. I mean, they're both big men, but they're not quite centers. And then in a perfect world for the 76ers, there'd be a top prospect guard or a top prospect, smaller forward to fill in that spot. But they're gonna keep trying to get the best players they can. And so the best move for them would be to get which of this draft's top big men would follow them.
Yeah, and you look at what happened actually also this past week with Allen Iverson getting into the Hall of Fame. They mentioned that when he was drafted, even after he was drafted, they weren't a solid team. But the Sixers worked to build a core around him, and that's what eventually got them to the finals, I believe in 2001, and basically established not a long history, but a history of winning for the next 2 years. Quickly though, final news: New York Knicks. There's a bunch of drama going on there, mainly centering around Phil Jackson. Any shakeups he wants to make, or maybe even leaving New York and going back to the Lakers. So coming on in real quick from Jake to Mike, thoughts with the Knicks camp going on?
I really can't. I really don't buy any kind of reports that Phil Jackson wants out. I think he is committed to helping rebuild this team. I mean, his roots come from this Knicks organization, and he's making progress. I mean, his first draft, you're seeing that pan out with how well Porzingis is doing, in spite of what a lot of people thought coming in. So, and he's gonna attract a slightly better free agent crop this year. I mean, he's gonna give it at least another year or two, kind of see what kind of starts to shake out from the Carmelo Anthony situation. I can't. He's gonna find his own head coach now. He has a chance to do that. So I don't see him like that. I mean, first to know Phil Jackson, I think he'll be in this for the long haul.
Mike, speaking of head coaches?
Yeah, as a fan of 2 teams owned by the Dolans, I can certainly understand why Phil Jackson may want to leave. They don't exactly have the greatest reputation as far as managing people goes. But I certainly hope he decides to stay because he is only in year 2 of a very large rebuilding process. I'm not super wild about the idea of hiring Kurt Rambis as a head coach. I feel like it's pretty uncreative and just kind of, it reeks of nepotism, just like these 2 old buddies from the Lakers kind of, getting together. But I think he's drafted well. Kristaps Porzingis, I think the trades he made to get Jerry Grant, I really like. So I think he needs a few years to actually sort of find his groove, and I think hopefully he'll be able to build a good team there.
Yeah, and Jake, I'm going to quickly disagree with you. I think that a lot of Phil Jackson's roots have come from being the coach of the Bulls and then obviously coaching the Lakers as well. So who knows how long he may be able to stand there. But anyway, that is all the time that we have for Throwing It Up. So for Mike and Jake, I'm Deepak. Stay tuned for more SportsZone coming at you next.
How's it going, folks? This is Smackdown, where we're gonna get a little raw and take it to WrestleMania. I'm Brian Hedall, and this is
Nate Gaff.
and we're gonna talk about some WWE action today. Nate, what you gotta tell me?
So last weekend, biggest weekend of the wrestling world was WrestleMania happening in Dallas, Texas, with along with NXT TakeOver Dallas, 2 stacked cards, a wonderful weekend of wrestling if you're a big wrestling fan, and so that's what happened. And also some surprising stuff happened on Raw the next night.
So Nate, first of all, I'm gonna need you to tell me biggest matches of WrestleMania. What went down?
So the biggest match of the night probably was The Undertaker versus Shane McMahon in Hell in a Cell. Shane McMahon took a 30-foot drop onto an announcer table, missing The Undertaker completely. One of the biggest spots of the night. The Undertaker wins, keeps his WrestleMania career intact, and Shane McMahon lost his control of Raw, but on the next night, Vince McMahon is like, oh, I doubt you can run this company better, and he's run Raw for the night. So the match night didn't have any implications, but Shane McMahon is now running Raw, which is always exciting. Made some couple exciting matches on Raw.
All right, and Nate, what do you think was the best match?
Best match from bell to bell, I'd have to say is the women's title match. Either the women's title match or the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. The women's title match was 16 minutes, wonderful, done by all women, great storytelling. Had Charlotte win with help from her devious dad, the dirtiest player in the game, Ric Flair, and it was woo exactly woo, and it was really great match. The Intercontinental Championship match, a lot of spots, big surprise win. Zack Ryder going over, no one could have expected that, and he had a WrestleMania moment, which was really cool to see. Another big match on the card was Roman Reigns winning, and he got booed out of the building. Right, and he's supposed to be the company's top babyface star. The people that all the little kids were like, yay! But he got booed out of Dallas, which was Vince, you're wrong. Well,
Unprecedented.
Unprecedented. It's never happened before. So that was
So
interesting.
Nate, a little birdie tells me that there was a special guest star at WrestleMania who some of us may have heard of before. Who might that be?
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal appeared in the Under the Giant Battle Royale, making an appearance and helping with the Big Show. Chokeslam Kane, which was really cool and really exciting. Another big thing about the Under the Giant Battle Royale was that Baron Corbin, who's a rookie on who's a guy on NXT, which is the WWE's developmental brand, he came up and won, which is huge, and like no one would saw that coming. Everyone thought it was Kane or Big Show going to win it a second time, but it was a really big match. Another interesting thing, your favorite wrestler made an appearance. Coming back from a large injury, we have John Cena helping out The Rock in order to triumph over the Wyatts in the shortest match of the night, which was 6 seconds. Everyone was pumped to see Rocky. He had like a giant flamethrower, like and lit up his name, which was pretty cool to see. Then everyone like freaked the heck out when they heard the da on the Titantron. It was super cool to see. Next night on Raw, the most interesting thing, and my boy AJ Styles, one of my favorite wrestlers in the company, took the big L at WrestleMania. Shows how much Vince McMahon hates TNA. But the next night, AJ Styles won, and he's now the new number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which he will fight Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules, and that's going to be a really interesting match. I think Roman Reigns is going to retain because Vince hates TNA. What would you say was any thoughts on WrestleMania, Brian?
I'll be honest, Nate. I think you covered it pretty well. I'm always happy to see my boy John Cena show up and do his thing. That's what matters to me.
Yeah. The other big show of the evening was NXT Takeover Dallas. It was the most complete wrestling show and had the wonderful debut of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, which was the match of the year. But WrestleMania was great. NXT Takeover was great. Watch it if you haven't. WWE Network is only $9.99. It's the same as Netflix. You should do it. For Nate, for myself,
And Brian.
this has been Smackdown and AU Insiders. Come back and check out some more.
Hello, welcome back to SportsZone. This is everybody's favorite segment, Deepak. Thumbles, thumbs up, thumbs down, where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly in the world of sports and the world at large. Lots to talk about this week. We're going to start on a somber note. Thumbs down to Ed Snyder, passing away this morning. He's done a whole lot for the city of Philadelphia and the city of Philadelphia's hockey community, founding Snyder Hockey, founding a bunch of different programs. Ed Snyder was truly a person who cared a lot about philanthropy in the city of Philadelphia. And double thumbs down because Deepak went to high school with his grandson. So I know Deepak wanted to come thumbs that, so I'm certainly going to add very big thumbs down to that. He did mean a lot to the hockey community at large. Thumbs down to Henrik Lundqvist for being injured and Elaine Vigneault not giving us a straight answer. We know he's injured. He's probably not going to play game one. He's going to try. It could ruin things. Thumbs down to Ryan McDonough for being injured as well. Thumbs up, however, for the Jets sign Ryan Clady. We always could use. What do you want? Could always use offensive help, especially on the offensive line, since our offensive line can't protect a quarterback ever. Thumbs up to Francisco Liriano for just being an animal, hitting home run, getting people out. Thumbs up to pitchers in baseball just for hitting home runs. Madison Bumgarner took Clayton Kershaw deep in San Francisco. That was kind of cool. Thumbs down to Kyle Schwarber for unfortunately getting injured, tearing his MCL and LCL.
Yo, but Jake Arrieta going 442. Boom.
Thumbs up to Brian for giving me that knowledge. Thumbs down to Jordan Spieth for whatever you want to call yesterday's performance. It looked a little bit like my golf game. It was abysmal. You shouldn't be able to melt down that much, especially after you led 7 straight rounds at the Masters. But there's 3 more Opens in the year. You have plenty of opportunity. Thumbs down to Deepak for whatever he's doing right now. He was doing something weird in the camera. I'm sorry. Thumbs up to Cody because we love Cody. Even though Cody's very angry at all of us today, he's not. But thumbs up to Cody because we love Cody. Thumbs down to Cody Weber for bringing up the lady friend on last thumbs. I'm not very happy about that, and I feel I needed to get that off my chest. She's waiting to see the show, however, so we have yet another viewers to add to our 11-person.
Bring her in. Bring her in to film.
No,
next week.
no, we're not. We're not approaching that.
That would
issue.
be a fun intro.
Not approaching that issue.
Olivia's coming too.
Thumbs up to the Yankees for playing well and for hopefully taking 2 out of 3 at least against Toronto. We could really use it. Let's see. Thumbs down to Quinnipiac. Busted my college hockey bracket. That was perfect until that 5-1, whatever you want to call performance on Saturday. Really put a damper on my mood Saturday night. Thumbs up to WrestleMania and thumbs up to the WWE as a whole. They're doing whatever they're doing. And
Wow.
that's it.
So you took
Thumbs up that smooth transition. Thumbs down to the tragic passing of former Saints defensive end Will Smith this weekend. Thumbs mid to the retirement of DeBrickshaw Ferguson. You can always respect a player who knows when he's in his own decline and wants to retire at the time. Thumbs down to Loyola Rugby for challenging the American University team this weekend and then backing out. Thumbs down to George Washington Rugby for challenging the American University Rugby Club to a game this weekend and then backing out. Thumbs up to Jordan Spieth for when he was being filmed, avoiding all pictures of his faces, thus avoiding a nice crying Jordan meme face over him. And that's all I got.
Thumbs down for whatever that was. Thumbs down also passing of Ed Snyder and the passing of Will Smith. Ed Snyder, obviously very sad, sort of a hockey icon. Will Smith also just very sad, sort of like the senselessness of it. That's all the bad news, though, as far as that goes. Although, actually, thumbs down for Henrik Lundqvist probably being injured. Hopefully he's okay. I truly think he'll be the difference between the Rangers and the Rangers winning and Penguins losing. Also, thumbs down Brian McDonough for being injured at the very beginning. Thumbs down for the Mets offense for being a little cold to start out, especially Yoenis Cespedes. I think they're going to sort of figure everything out, but still not super encouraging. Same thing with Matt Harvey's performance so far. I guess a thumbs down to DeBrickashaw Ferguson of my beloved New York Jets. I'm very sad to see him retire. An absolute Iron Man. Since he was drafted in 2006, he only missed 1 offensive snap by the Jets, and that was actually for a gadget play. He wasn't injured or anything. Also, actually kind of lives, I think he lives in my hometown. Lives somewhere near my hometown in New Jersey. I forget exactly where. I've actually met him once. Very, very nice guy, so sad to see him go. But thumbs up for the Jets trading for Ryan Clady. I think he'll be a good addition to their offensive line. Just thumbs up for the hockey playoffs starting in general. Going to be very, very, very fun. And yeah, thumbs up for the Warriors for tying the Chicago Bulls' 1996 record for wins. Records were made to be broken. I just had visions of me just like telling my children someday about, oh, you don't know what basketball is because you never got to see the 2016 Warriors play. Just very, very cool to see. Certainly something I think will go down in sort of, the halls of NBA history as just an amazing, amazing thing to watch.
Thumbs up to the Indiana Pacers for securing a playoff spot. Hard season, hard fought. Way to see PG-13 back in form. And as a Pacers fan, I'm super stoked. Thumbs up to Reds baseball. What's good? We're winning games. I'm really happy about it. I'm super pumped. I'm looking forward to a great season. Thumbs up to WrestleMania weekend. It was really great, really awesome to see all that stuff go on. Thumbs up to John Cena for being a mutant of a man. He's like, yeah, he is bench pressing an absurd amount of weight after 3 months of shoulder surgery. He's truly inhuman. I'm gonna give a thumbs up to NXT TakeOver Dallas as an entire show. It was the best wrestling show of the weekend and had the match of the year. Awesome. I want to give a thumbs up to New Japan Pro Wrestling and what they did. It was fantastic. Kenny Omega doing things. It was awesome. I loved watching every single second of it. And also he even called out the WWE, which was hysterical. I loved it. I'm going to give a thumbs up to Lucha Underground for being probably the best written wrestling show on cable network television. They're doing a great job. It's really awesome to see all of that. I'm going to give a thumbs down to the passing of the real Will Smith. It was a shame to see him. Yeah, that was his Twitter handle, was the real Will Smith. It was awesome. Sad to see such a prominent figure in the NFL pass away. I want to give a thumbs up to college, to playoff hockey starting soon. Hopefully the Cavs can do well and overcome past demons that they've seen in hockey play. My two Ranger fans on my left do not agree with that sentiment. I want to give a thumbs up to the Indianapolis Indians for starting AAA play. A Pittsburgh Pirates syndicate doing great. It's awesome. And those are all my thumbs.
Thumb down to Kyle Schwarber's ligaments in his knee for being weak and shattered and making my dreams be shattered. However, thumbs up to the Cubbies, still 5-1 and looking real saucy. Also, thumb up to Jake Arrieta hitting a 442-foot bomb yesterday. That's the longest home run a pitcher has hit in a hot minute. Thumb up to Professional Ultimate Frisbee starting this past week. You all at home should go watch it. The DC Breeze are looking real strong this year, and it's actually a fun sport to watch. I'm not just saying that because I play it. Thumb down to the Boston Celtics. Oh, well, it's really only one thumb down. I don't need to in this scenario. Thank you, Deepak. Thumb down to Deepak, by the way. 2 thumbs down to Deepak. Just because. But 1 thumb down to the Boston Celtics for probably failing to secure that 3 seed in the East. Oh well. We'll play the Heat in the first round. We'll see how that goes. That's all I have. We almost did it.
To be honest with you, I don't have a lot of energy right now. Thumbs up. Yeah. Maybe thumbs down. I'm gonna do Cody's thumbs for him because that was a poor showing from him. We're gonna go thumbs up for the weather. Come on. Come on. Thumbs down because final exams are coming. Come on. Come on.
Think you feel better now? Think you feel better? Actually, no, I stayed happy.
And we're just going to keep this brief. I'm feeling a beatdown coming. I'm feeling a Smackdown coming on. Exit the segment. Thumbs down to Arsenal. They played terrible this weekend. They led a 2-goal lead and they tied West Ham, making Andy Carroll, the Barstool soccer player, look like something he shouldn't. Thumbs up to Bobby Wood, who broke the scoring record for Americans in German soccer. Scored his 15th and 16th league goal this season for Union Berlin in the Bundesliga 2. Hopefully he can get a transfer to maybe a bigger team. I think he's potentially the future of U.S. soccer. So I think it's good to see him doing well. We're gonna go thumbs down to Jordan Spieth on the 12th hole at the Masters. It's the shortest hole at the Masters, but he found the water twice and the bunker once and put a nice big 7 on the scoreboard. So that's all for me this week.
Thumbs down because we were so close to not having a banger hit, but Brian screwed it up.
What's good?
Thumbs up, even though he obviously comes down to his passing. Thumbs up to the legacy of Ed Snyder. He really did do a lot for Philadelphia and for the sport as a whole. One of the most memorable stories I know of his was that when the Soviet Union came to play and then in the third period refused to come out, Snyder walked in and said, if you want to get paid, you will get back out on that ice. And they did. And they got clobbered. And it was great. Thumbs up to the Warriors for tying the record, and now they have a chance to beat it. The best part is Steve Kerr can't be mad either way. He's part of both teams, so good for him. Thumbs down to Shaw Ferguson retiring solely because of this. I don't care about the Jets at all, but that was the best name I've ever heard in all of football, so I like that. Thumbs up to baseball in general. Thumbs up to the Phils. They're losing right now to the Padres, but it's cool because, we're supposed to lose anyway. And when we do lose, we'll just go 157-5 for the rest of the season. So how about them apples, Ben Davis? The Royals will not beat us in the World Series. Thumbs down to Aviva for showing up and just sitting there as she always does. Oh boy. Thumbs. You know what? Let's just wrap it up here. Thumbs up with, obviously, what am I going to say here? Villanova won the national championship. It was a wonderful, wonderful buzzer beater victory.
Wasn't it 2 weeks ago?
It was like last Monday.
It was last Monday.
Last Monday night. I cried. I legitimately cried. Normally when people are mad they throw chairs, nah. I threw a chair halfway across ATV just cause. And it was great because Nova won, and that's where I'm going for grad school next year, and that's all that matters.
Oh, really? We didn't know.
Yeah.
Are you from the area?
It's like something like you don't say like every week.
Exactly. So this is also my...
Wait, where are you going to grad school?
Nova.
Where
This
are
is
you
also
from?
my penultimate episode.
Wait, does Villanova have a basketball team?
So, this is my penultimate episode.
Don't think that thing will be next year.
Next week, we hope to have everyone here for our final send-off of the year. Hopefully we'll even get Dan in here somehow. And Rachel maybe as well. Bring back some of our alumni. Who knows who's around. Maybe Dylan will come back. But that is all the thumbs I got. So, for Vince, for Brian, for Michael, for Cody, for Ryan, for Jake, for Nate, for Aviva, for Jessica, for Kristen, for Ben, who actually just showed up and is just chilling back there, for Brandon, who came in and showed us a beautiful video earlier, for whoever was on the teleprompter while we were like switching through stuff. I think that's everyone, right, who came in today at least. For Ryan's girl, for Vince's girl, both of whom will be here next Monday. I'm Deepak. We'll see you next week for the final episode of the year. Stay tuned for SportsZone coming at you again.
SportsZone on the God mic as if you genuinely didn't know how to wrap it up.
Well, I actually didn't.
That's right. We're done.